Do you know what the deepest kind of loneliness feels like? It is not when you are lost in a crowd or sitting in an empty room. No, it is when the very people you gave your soul to, the ones you held close, nurtured, and sacrificed everything for, choose to forget you. That silence, that absence, that betrayal, it cuts deeper than any wound the body can take. I ask you this because today, as I sit here in this chair, staring at walls that are not mine, breathing air that feels borrowed, I can tell you that loneliness has become my most faithful companion. Before I go on, I want to thank you. Thank you for lending me your ears, your time, and a little space in your heart. You don't know how much it means to a woman like me, 65 years old, left behind in an old age home, to know that someone still cares to listen. It makes me believe that my life, the pain, the silence, the lessons was not all wasted. I truly hope that after listening to me, you will never allow yourself to treat anyone you love as disposable. And I hope you will find courage, no matter what life throws at you. Because if I can survive this much, then surely you can too. I was not always this woman in grey clothes with tired hands and quiet eyes. Once upon a time, I was a girl full of laughter and dreams. I remember my youth so clearly, the dirt roads of my childhood, the fields where we worked until our backs ached, the songs we sang in the evenings when the sun dipped below the horizon. We were poor, yes, but life still had a sweetness, a hope. I believed in family, in togetherness, in the promise that hard work and love would build something unbreakable. When I became a mother, everything inside me shifted. My body was weary from labor, but my heart was fierce with love. Holding my first child in my arms felt like holding the world itself. I told myself, this is the reason I was born. I will do everything, give everything, to see this little life grow. And I did. I worked through hunger, through sickness, through nights when my body wanted to collapse. I cooked when I had nothing but scraps. I stitched clothes out of worn fabric. I told my children stories under candlelight so they would not notice how empty their stomachs were. There is something about motherhood that no one can fully explain. It is not just about giving birth, it is about giving your life away piece by piece, silently, without expecting anything in return. When my children were small, I wore holes in my shoes so they could have new ones. I went to bed hungry so they could eat. I stood between them and the storms of this world, believing that my sacrifice would one day be repaid in love, if not in words. But life is not always fair, is it? You spend decades building a foundation for others, and sometimes you do not realize that you are erasing yourself in the process. I was so busy being mama that I forgot to be myself. I forgot to dream for me. My children became my dream. Their success became my success, their laughter my reward. I never thought they could become my heartbreak. I raised them with values: respect, kindness, gratitude. At least I thought I did. I told them stories of how important it was to honor family, to never abandon the hands that once carried you. They nodded, they promised, they kissed my cheeks. Children always promise. And mothers always believe. I remember the years flying by, their schooling, their growing, the first time they held jobs, the joy in their voices when they spoke of their futures. I pushed them toward the light, even if it meant I had to stay behind in the shadows. I did not complain when they left home to chase their dreams. I encouraged them, even when my heart ached with emptiness. Because isn't that what mothers do? We cheer for our children, even when it means clapping with hands that are blistered from sacrifice. But time changes everything. Children who once held your hands tightly begin to let go. They find other hands to hold, other voices to listen to. And slowly, you become a background character in the very story you build. You are no longer the center. You are a memory, sometimes forgotten, sometimes ignored. When my children started their own families, I thought my life would finally be sweet. I dreamed of grandchildren running around me, of laughter filling my evenings again. But what I received instead was silence. Phone calls became shorter, then fewer, and finally stopped altogether. Visits became rare until they disappeared. I kept telling myself, they are busy. Life is hard. They will come, but days turned to months, months to years, and the door never opened for me. And then came the day they left me here. An old age home. A place where the forgotten are gathered together, hidden away so the world does not have to see them. The first time I walked through these doors, I felt something inside me die. This was not my home. This was not my dream. Yet here I am, sharing a roof with other mothers and fathers who know this pain too well. Do you know what it feels like to wait? To sit on a birthday, dressed in your best clothes, hoping the door will open and familiar faces will come. To wait until the food grows cold, until the night falls, until you realize they are not coming at all. That is my life now, waiting, hoping, breaking. Today is my 65th birthday. I cooked nothing, for there was no one to cook for. I received no flowers, no cards, no hugs. The staff here smiled. They tried to cheer me, but it is not the same. A mother does not crave cake or gifts. She craves her children's presence. She craves the sound of their laughter in the house she once built with her hands. But that house is gone, and so are they. I sit here tonight asking myself, was my love not enough? Was my sacrifice not visible? Or is this just the truth of the world, that children grow, and mothers are left behind like old clothes, worn and discarded? Yet even in this pain, I must remind myself of one thing. My life was not meaningless. I gave love. I gave life. And no matter how they treat me now, I know I did my duty as a mother. That is my strength. That is my courage. And to you who are listening, I say this: love your parents while you still have them. Do not wait until they are gone to realize what they meant. Because one day, you might find yourself staring at an empty chair, wishing for a conversation you will never have again. This is only the beginning of my story. There is more to tell about this place, about the women who sit beside me with broken hearts, about the lessons life has carved into our souls. But for tonight, I want you to carry this with you. Never let the people who gave you everything end their lives in loneliness. No gift in this world is greater than their presence. Cherish it before it is too late. Asterisk. When I first arrived at this old age home, I thought my heart would not survive the weight of shame and rejection. To walk through a doorway that was not mine, carrying a small bag with just a few clothes and a lifetime of memories, it felt like being stripped of my identity. I remember sitting on the bed they assigned me, staring at the white walls, listening to the quiet hum of strangers moving about the corridors. For the first time in my life, I had no role to play. I was no longer Mama, no longer the one who held everything together. I was just another forgotten woman in a room full of forgotten souls. But with time, I began to see something I had not expected. The faces around me carried the same sadness, the same stories, the same disappointments. There was comfort in knowing I was not alone in this pain. Every woman here, every man too, had given their youth, their strength, their sweat for their families. And yet, here they were, left behind like furniture that no longer fits in the new house. I befriended a woman named Esther. She was 80, her hair silver like moonlight, her hands thin and trembling. She told me she once had 5 children. 5. Can you imagine the chaos, the laughter, the noise of a house with 5 children? And yet, on her last birthday, not one of them came. Not one phone call, not one card. She laughed when she told me, but her eyes glistened with tears. She said, "Grace, sometimes I wonder if I imagined it or did I really raise them, or was it just a dream?" Her words broke something inside me, because I understood exactly what she meant. There is a man here, too, named Samuel. He fought for his country as a young soldier. He came back with scars on his body and wounds in his heart, but he built a life, raised his sons with discipline and love. Now, those same sons barely remember his name. They told him they were too busy to visit. He sits outside every evening, staring at the gate, waiting for them. Sometimes he falls asleep in his chair, still facing that gate, as if he believes that when he wakes, they will finally be standing there. But the gate never opens for him. In this place, you hear the same story again and again, told in different voices. Mothers who went without food so their children could eat. Fathers who walked miles to work so their children could go to school. Grandparents who sacrificed their peace so their families could have comfort. And yet, when age comes when the hair turns white and the hands shake, these same people are placed here, out of sight, out of mind. It makes me wonder, is this what love means today? To forget the hands that once built your world. Every birthday here feels the same. The staff tries, they truly do. They bake small cakes, they sing, they decorate the dining hall with balloons. But the joy always carries a shadow, because each of us is secretly hoping that maybe, just maybe, this year our children will come. We put on our best clothes, we comb our hair, we wait by the windows. But the only footsteps we hear are the nurses. The silence of our children is louder than any celebration could ever be. I have learned that pain shared is pain multiplied. But also, strangely, pain softened. Here, when one of us cries, the others gather round. We hold hands, we whisper prayers, we remind each other that we are not invisible, not to each other. Sometimes we laugh together, too, sharing old memories, pretending for a moment that we are not abandoned. It is bittersweet, because the laughter comes with the knowledge that the people we long for most are absent. What hurts the most is not just the loneliness. It is the betrayal. When my children left me here, they said it was for my own good. They said I would be happier here, with people my age. But I know the truth. They were tired of me. I became an inconvenience in their busy, shiny lives. My presence reminded them of duties they did not want to carry anymore. So they chose the easier path, put me away, far from sight. But let me tell you something I have realized in these long, quiet nights. It is not just about me. This is not only my story. There are thousands of mothers like me across this city, across this world, sitting in rooms like mine, waiting for children who will never come. Women who once carried their babies on their backs, who sang them to sleep, who prayed for their futures. Now those same women whisper prayers not for themselves, but for their children's forgiveness. Because even when betrayed, a mother's heart still aches with love. Sometimes, when the lights go out at night, I lie awake listening to the sounds of the others sleeping. And I imagine their dreams. Perhaps Esther dreams of her 5 children sitting around her table again. Perhaps Samuel dreams of his sons calling him Papa with pride. And perhaps I dream of my own children remembering that I exist. Dreams are the only place where we are not forgotten. I often ask myself, what lesson can I take from all of this? Life has taught me that love without boundaries can turn into chains. I gave too much, expecting nothing in return, and maybe that was my mistake. I raised my children to believe they were the center of the universe, forgetting to remind them that one day I too would need them. That one day the roles would reverse, and the hands that carried them would need carrying. Perhaps if I had been stricter, more demanding, they would not have forgotten me so easily. But then again, isn't that what love is? To give without measuring, to sacrifice without keeping count? If motherhood requires balance, then perhaps I failed. And yet, even in this failure, I know I was true to myself. One loved fully. And maybe that is enough. There is one truth I cannot ignore. The world does not see us anymore. Old women, old men, we become invisible. People look past us as if we are furniture, as if our stories do not matter. But I refuse to be invisible. That is why I am telling you my story now. So that you, who are listening, will remember. So that when you look at your own mother or father, you will see them not just as old and tired, but as the people who once gave you everything. This place, this old age home, has taught me that love can fade, but dignity must remain. I may be forgotten by my children, but I will not forget myself. I will not let my story vanish in silence. Because if I do, then all the sacrifices I made, all the nights I stayed awake watching over fevers, all the mornings I went to work with aching bones, they will mean nothing. And I cannot let that be. So here I am, speaking to you, hoping that in my words you will hear not just my voice, but the voices of countless mothers and fathers like me. We are not asking for riches, for gifts, for grand gestures. We are only asking for presence, for love, for the simple act of being remembered. And as I sit here tonight, watching the moonlight filter through the window, I tell myself one thing. I may not have my children's company, but I still have my strength, my story, and my truth. And those no one can take away from me. There is a strange silence that lives inside these walls, a silence so heavy it can almost crush you. Yet within that silence, thoughts grow louder, memories grow sharper, and truths reveal themselves. As the days stretch on in this old age home, I find myself thinking more and more about the meaning of life, about the choices we make, and about the love we give so freely that sometimes it destroys us. I often sit by the window in the afternoons, watching children pass by on their way home from school. Their laughter floats in the air, bright and unburdened, and for a brief moment it takes me back to when my own children were small and came running into my arms after school. I would wipe their dusty faces, feed them whatever little food I had managed to prepare, and listen as they chatted about their day. Those were the moments that gave my life purpose. And yet now, here I am, with nothing but those memories to keep me warm. I ask myself sometimes, where did it all go wrong? Was it something I did? Something I failed to do? Or is this simply the way of the world now, where old age is seen not as a crown of honor but as a burden to be cast aside? The hardest part is not knowing the answer. The hardest part is realizing that love, no matter how deep, does not guarantee loyalty. The women around me share these same thoughts. We sit together in the evenings, knitting, talking softly, sometimes just holding each other's hands in silence. And always, our conversations drift back to the same question: why? Why do children forget so easily? Why do they not see that every wrinkle on our faces is a story written for them? Why do they not understand that one visit, one smile, one "I love you, Mama" could heal years of pain? One of the women here, her name is Margaret, once told me something that haunts me still. She said, "Perhaps we mothers made a mistake by giving too much. We taught our children to expect sacrifice, but we forgot to teach them gratitude." Her words pierced me like a blade. Because she is right, isn't she? We gave and gave, but we never asked for anything in return. We thought love would teach them to love back. But life has shown us otherwise. Still, I cannot bring myself to hate my children. No matter how much they hurt me, my heart still whispers their names in prayer every night. This is the curse of motherhood, that even in betrayal, we cannot turn our backs. We forgive, even when forgiveness is never asked for. We wait, even when waiting breaks us. And we love, even when love is not returned. But let me tell you something I have come to realize. I may have been abandoned by my children, but I am not powerless. They may have taken away their presence, their love, their care, but they cannot take away my story. They cannot silence the truth of what I lived through, what I gave, and what I endured. And that is why I speak now, because I want the world to hear us, to see us, to remember that we are not invisible on nights like this. When the loneliness presses hardest against my chest, I walk through the halls of this place and look into the faces of the others who live here. Each one is a reflection of me. Each one has a story of sacrifice and abandonment. And I realize this is not just my pain. This is a generation's pain. Thousands of mothers and fathers left behind, waiting for children who never come. Do you know how many die with their eyes on the door, hoping for one last glimpse of the ones they loved most? To many, far too many. It angers me sometimes. Anger is not an emotion I am proud of, but it rises nonetheless. I want to shake the world and ask, what happened to us? What happened to the values we once held sacred? In my youth, leaving your parents to suffer alone would have been unthinkable. Family was everything. Blood was loyalty. But today, comfort and convenience seem to matter more than love and duty. Parents are replaced by caregivers, by institutions, by strangers. And children carry on, believing they have done nothing wrong. But here is the truth I want you to take with you. One day, the wheel will turn. The children of today will one day grow old, and then they too will know the sting of being forgotten. That is why I speak. Not to curse them, but to warn them. Because the seeds of neglect they plant now will one day grow into their own loneliness. I do not know what the future holds for me. Perhaps my children will never return. Perhaps I will live out the rest of my days in this place, surrounded not by family, but by strangers who became my family by circumstance. And perhaps I will leave this world quietly, without the sound of my children's voices in my ears. But if that is to be my fate, then I want at least to leave behind this message: never abandon the ones who gave you life. Never let them die with empty hands and empty hearts. Today is my 65th birthday. No children came, no calls were made. But as I blew out the single candle the staff placed on my cake, I made a wish not for myself, but for all the mothers sitting in rooms like mine. I wished that someday children would learn again how to honor their parents. I wished that someday no mother would have to cry herself to sleep wondering why she was forgotten. And to you, listening to me now, I thank you. Thank you for giving me this space, for hearing my truth. In your ears, I find a kind of companionship that my children no longer give me. And I hope that my story does more than just move your heart. I hope it changes you. I hope that tonight you pick up the phone and call your mother. I hope tomorrow you visit your father. I hope you hold their hands while you still can, so you will not one day be haunted by regret, because at the end of the day, love is not about grand gestures. It is about presence, about showing up, about saying, I see you. I have not forgotten you. That is all we want. That is all we ever wanted. So remember me not as an old woman sitting in an institution, but as a mother who gave her all, as a woman who still believes in love even after being abandoned, and as a voice for all those who no longer have the strength to speak. If you carry that memory with you, then maybe, just maybe, my life was not lived in vain.